I knew that I needed to do something different, but I didn't really care if I died.
Yeah.
Was the thing, especially after doing methamphetamine and alcohol together. That was to a point where there's no light in your life.
Welcome back to the Hopeaholics podcast. I'm your girl, Natalie Eva Marie.
And I'm Chad Carlson, and you're listening to the #1 addiction and mental health podcast.
And you guys, if you or a loved one is struggling, make sure you head to askevamarie.com or chaddick.com and chat with one of our AI companions 24/7.
Or text the number right here on the screen.
Together, we are breaking the stigma around addiction and mental health.
And fighting the fentanyl epidemic.
Now, let's get into the episode.
Mike, welcome to the Hopeaholics podcast.
Yeah.
Here we
Yes.
go. Here we go.
Here
Right.
we go.
I appreciate you both.
I think
Glad
I
to be
invited you down here like at least 18 months ago, but a lot has changed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
A lot has changed. We're about actually probably even more than that, but we're about to almost 3 years into this. We're over 2 years and 10 months into this podcast. So
And doing real well.
yeah,
Doing real well. I love listening.
it's been a blessing. I came from a tragedy, but all of it the way it just kind of fell into place, it's been really a blessing for us and for so many people's lives.
I'm sure Justin's looking down and saying something's happening here, and I
Yeah.
like it.
Something's happening here.
Yeah.
So Mike, I've known you a long time, man.
It's been a while.
We've been in this industry a long time.
How long?
Him longer than me.
Yeah,
long you been?
31 years at Social Model Recovery Systems, coming up on 31.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got sober and then went to work. We only had, I think, River Community and Touchstones at the time. And then I just went to work about a year after I was sober, came out of treatment, went to work there a year later.
That's the way to do it, man.
Yeah,
You know?
it made me wait a year, which I think for us now it's 2 years, but yeah, it was a good amount of time, I think.
Yeah.
Went back to work there as a counselor and worked a relief counselor, they called it, where you driving the van and taking people to meetings and I loved it. I was working a full-time job somewhere else too, selling commercial printing at the time, and getting my life together, and just loved it. I asked Jim O'Connell, was one of my mentors, who was our CEO for a long time, and I asked him. He was the only one that wore a tie at River Community when I was going to treatment there, and I said, "Hey, what do I need to do to work here?" And he would look at me every once in a while when I would ask that question when I was in treatment. And he would say, "Let's just get through treatment. Let's just get through today first, Mike."
Actually, I like that answer. I'm going to steal that. 'Cause
Yeah.
clients ask me all the time, what do I need to do? When can I work here? You know?
Yeah, let's just get through today.
You know what? Let's just get through treatment. Let's get through today first.
Yeah.
Let's get through treatment.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 26 when I went into treatment.
Okay.
So got sober I picked the date that I was in jail, LA County Jail, in the overcrowded LA County jail system for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months before I went into treatment. But I picked the day that I went into River Community as my sobriety date. So July 25th, 1993
Wow.
is my sobriety date.
Wow.
And and I think the reason I did that is they made a big deal about it at the time. What's your sobriety date? And I love passing that on to others myself today because it's important. What's your date? And but I carried methamphetamine with me the whole time I was in jail. I had it in my shoe. And I just I could have used it in jail, but there was nothing to fix. You use methamphetamine in jail when you're supposed to be sleeping the whole day, and
Bro,
You know,
I did it one
oh,
time.
I can't take a lawnmower apart and put it back together when I'm in jail. I just made that my sobriety date, the date I went into treatment.
Nice.
Mm.
Just because I think it's important that people see what can happen in your life. So you went through social model recovery
Mm-hmm.
in 1993, and what is your role there today? What's your role at the center?
Yeah, so I end up working a lot in different areas of social model recovery systems, marketing, outreach, special projects that come up, and as we develop, there's just different things. I've gone in different directions over the years. The Drug Free Anaheim program I supervised that. Community-based housing is it's our sober living. We call it community-based housing, and just all kinds of different things to get to where I am now, is working on the executive team and doing what's necessary to keep up relationships with our stakeholders and with the community, a small community, as in Los Angeles area to state of California to United States and throughout the world sometimes. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful world to be in. I got to tell you, I'm very, very blessed and grateful. I work with a great team of people. This is our the team that came with me today is our community relations team. Do all the social media, anything that has to do with reaching out to the community. Handle all of our anything from the social media work and all the content, but also our brochures, and working with our program directors and managers to build any content that we need for our newsletter and for our website and things like that, manage the website.
Nice.
Yeah, so just all around, which is kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just to go back because you talked about meth. What was
Yeah.
it? What was life like for you growing up, and where did you grow up?
God bless
Bless
you.
you.
Sorry.
Bless
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
it's
Thank
all
you.
good. You have a little bear there with you.
I
Take
know,
care
I
of
do.
during your
It's
sneezes.
so nice.
So I was born in New Jersey, and came out to California when I was 10. And my dad got promoted, and we moved into Glendora, California.
Mm.
And almost immediately, I felt uncomfortable. I wore these big goofy glasses and talked funny. Had that
Yeah.
New Jersey accent. And so I was always kind of like defiant, and struggled with school, with later on to find out ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
and really had some trouble with relationships and things like that, especially with authority figures. It was even from a young age. But I started partying almost right away when I got to Glendora, and smoking weed, and then drinking almost immediately too. So I was probably 12 by the time I really was, partying almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was, it worked for a while. I played football. I played sports. It's kind of like from the sports jocks, but also stoners, and that kind of group. And we were always getting in trouble. I have a brother that's a year and a half older than me, and so I mostly hung out with his friends. And my parents kind of gave up after a while on the rules of separating us between the 18 months. It's like when Rick could do something, my older brother could do something, then all of a sudden I could. But I became pretty obsessed with driving. I drove a lot before I even got my license. My dad had a 59 MG in the garage, and my brother and I would drive that quite a bit, and that's how I started getting in trouble. Teachers seeing me drive around town. I had a coon, a raccoon skin hat with the tail in the back to make me look older, driving around town, thinking I was all bad, and I had a fake ID. I was buying alcohol at probably 16, 15, 16. Yeah, and I went to my first treatment experience at 14. My parents put me in a treatment program. Yeah, and mental health facility at the time, and it just it was Halloween night. They're like, "Well, we're gonna take you to a new school," and I already started getting loaded, and I went to this treatment for right down the street from my parents' house, like literally 2 miles, and they brought me in there during a Halloween party. And I just was like, "What is this?" And my parents left, and they told me, "Oh, well, this isn't really a school, and you're going to be staying here now." And I thought, "Huh, maybe that's your plan." And I ran from that place that night in a pretty dramatic way. I mean, I had they were all dressed up for Halloween. I had like a baseball player and Frankenstein chasing me down Sierra Madre and Azusa, California. And yeah, I ended up settling into that place for about 30 days. And I fought it. That's how I went to my first AA meeting. It was called the Beanbag Meeting. It was right across the street from, now the Beanbag Meeting's in Glendora, but it was a little triangle room next to a liquor store across from the treatment program. I went to my first, 12-step meeting, I should say. And that was then I just figured, well, that's not going to stick. And I kept partying. And I think one of the biggest challenges for me was that I just didn't want to, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin no matter where I was.
I feel you.
Yeah. It was a time where everybody was trying to fix Mike. And I didn't think I needed fixing. I wasn't the fixing kind of guy at the time. I wasn't ready to be fixed. Yeah.
Was your brother right there with you, like with
time? And you know what? Almost never got in trouble.
Oh wow.
I don't know how it happened. I had a bigger mouth than him, I think, at some point. And we could be in a whole group of people, and one time we were at the beach in Huntington, and I remember everybody just drinking on the beach, and the cops told us to pour it out, and I ain't pouring mine out, and I'm in a Huntington Beach jail. I mean, I was arrested probably when I did my first step work. I think I was arrested over 20 times by the time I went into River Community. Wow. Arrested, detained, thrown in jail, and so I just very defiant.
You did some stints in L.A. County, huh?
Yeah, I did. And the last time was when it was overcrowded. I was in a day room. In fact, when I went into LA County Jail that time, it was like, here I am again, and I had to really sleep it off. And a day room at the time when the jails were overcrowded was a room maybe 3 times the size of this one. There maybe 60 feet by 60 feet, pretty with just a toilet in the corner.
Yeah, and
they didn't separate races at the time or anything, and so there's a lot of scrapping and it was.
And you kept your own shoes.
I kept my own shoes,
because that was now you get your own shoes, right? They give you shoes. They give you county issued shoes, but back then you didn't want to walk in there with some old Jordans, some 1993 Jordans, right?
Yeah, and once I had physical sobriety in jail that time, because it was a longer, I was taking the bus rides to different courts is what they were doing.
Yeah.
But I was still coming back to that day room. And I had physical sobriety and being in there, and all of a sudden I have nothing to hide behind. My brain was just on overtime. And you're in protection mode too. It's not a very nice place to be. But every time I got in one of those buses, they would sometimes separate me and put me in a cage in front of the bus because I was the only white guy on the bus. And one time I said something to one of the guards about, oh yeah, put me in my special place in the cage. And he goes, you ain't special. Took me out of the cage and he put me back there in the general population on the bus. I was like, whoops. Maybe that wasn't a good thing to say.
Yeah.
But that was, my step one happened in that jail, because after I was sober for maybe, I'm trying to think, it might have been a month and a half, they put me in a jail cell with somebody. And I had another court date to go to in Pomona. And my parents were already working on getting me into river community. And so they were trying to get the judge and the district attorney to come together and court mandate me into a treatment program. And during that time, I went from the day room, finally went into a cell. And I was on the bottom bunk, and the person on the top bunk, I got to know them for maybe a day, maybe 24 hours. And all of a sudden, one night when lights went out, the top bunk started to shake, and they were having a seizure. And that guy fell off the top bunk and fell onto the cement floor right in front of me. And I didn't know anything about CPR. I didn't know anything about saving anybody's life. And I was pretty freaked out about a lot of other things, and I didn't want to touch him. And basically, they wouldn't come when I yelled and screamed. The guards, nobody would come. They're scared that for their own, they want to go home at the end of the day, and they don't want to have somebody pulling tricks on them, I guess. And unfortunately, that guy just died in front of me. And all the fluids came out of every part of his body, and when they finally came to the jail cell, they just drug him out and left all those fluids on the floor. And I sat there being freaked out by death at that age, 26 years old. I was having a hard time. I was just imploding and overwhelmed. And that was my step one. I was powerless, and my addiction had become unmanageable to a point where here I am once again in jail by myself with whatever spirits were in there, because I felt like there was just all evil around me. When you're in that type of environment, there's no people coming along and saying, "Hey, Chad, how's it going today? Eva, how are you?" None of that. You're in darkness.
Yeah.
And so I needed that darkness to turn to light.
Yeah.
And I know I began to pray, but it was challenging for me at the time because I was praying to what I refer to as like my parents' God.
Yeah.
I was in the back of my dad's business car on Sundays with my brother, hungover, going to church and on a regular basis, and just not enjoying. I was in the back of church wanting to order a pizza. I was hungry. It was just not my thing. But I knew enough that I could pray, and I did. That was my first experience of going, I want something different. I knew nothing about 12-step programs at the time, and nor did I really care because I was doing my own thing. By that time, I had checked out from my family. I had been experiencing homelessness and just out and about wherever I could stay for probably 2 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Living in my car or living in the back of my car. If I didn't have a car, I was walking on the streets anywhere from Pomona to Glendora, and just existing. And I didn't want to be around people. I think I did have this experience one time where I felt like, that's it. I'm going to go live in the mountains. If I don't open any envelopes and I don't see any people, then I won't have any arguments with people, and I won't have any court dates, and I won't have any bills, no taxes. And I just would live up in the mountains. There was a cave up in the mountains that we played in as kids that was about 1.5 miles into the mountains. I recently took Anna Lynn, my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend, up there and showed her during COVID what that cave looked like. And I would stay there for shelter and then go and get, I got a lounge chair from my parents' house one time, and I brought it up there so I could get off the ground and just stay wherever I could. Because I didn't want to be around anything that was going to be chaotic. I ate wherever I could, worked whatever odd jobs I could, and had some money coming in. But by the time it was over, I had, probably, I think, over $10,000 in court fines. And that was a lot of money for,
sure.
Yeah.
1993. And,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like I was just broke. I was like, that restitution thing. I thought restitution was a guy's name that I'm paying these. I didn't know what, there's tons of money going out and barely trying to keep it together. And there's no light in your life.
This episode is brought to you by Wolfpack Bags. This gear is meant for anybody gym, lifestyle, to anybody that's on the move. I mean, I like to say that us here and everybody that tunes in, we're not average. We're always a wolf. They have all the goods that you need, especially for anybody that is looking for a bag to carry their meal prep, a lunch pail, anything like that. They have you covered. So once again, go to wolfpack.com, use the code Hopeaholics, save 10%, and join the pack.
The grandiosity that comes from doing methamphetamine, thinking that I could solve every problem in the world, and then crash out for days at a time.
We call them pipe dreams, huh?
Oh yeah, you just I had this weird obsession too, where I would go to nurseries, Armstrong Nursery and other places, because they threw away their flower, like Kmart, and they would throw away all their flowers, the flats of flowers that were half dead. And then I would find, because I was trash can digging and dumpster diving one time, and I noticed, why are they throwing away all these flowers? And I used to just take them out, put them in my car when I had a car, in the backseat of the car, and I would plant them at people's houses that were mad at me.
Oh my God.
Or that I was mad at, and then water them at 3-4 in the morning, seeing me out there in my dad's garden planting stuff that was, when the sun came up, it was all half dead anyway. But I was like, I needed something to do.
Yeah.
So it was a strange world. It really was. That meth just tears you up. And I would look at people, when they were getting up at 6 in the morning after I'd been up for a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days, whatever it was, and I'd look at all these people and go, if they just did meth, they would get so much more done.
Yeah. Right.
No, it was a sickness thinking like that.
And it's crazy to, because the world was such a different place in the 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
1993, I had dropped out of high school in 1992. So I was a senior in high school in 1992. 1993, I was a full-blown wannabe methamphetamine dealer.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good, but like I was in it.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel like I made it.
I made it. I arrived.
I got enough quantity to use whatever I want. And
1993, I was 19 years old. I got some booking photos of me from like 1993.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't even. They're like that.
I never looked those up. I don't know.
Well, they gave them to me when I graduated drug court. They gave me all my booking.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh.
So I've got a nice little thing of booking photos.
Yeah, I don't have many of the before and after photos. Yeah, a lot of the times when I was, because I was thrown in different jails quite a bit.
Yeah.
But Pomona was the end of it, because I ended up in Pomona jail or Pomona court to get into River Community. And the essence of that story was just that I had come up with this system where I would go into hotels. I went to the thrift store and I would get like a suit. It was all wrinkled and, faded from being in the back of my car, hanging in the sun. And it was the suit that I used to go to court. And I would walk around hotels and wait, early in the morning, and find a housekeeper cleaning a room, and just say, hey, well, you're all done. That's cool. This is my room. I'm checking in. And back then there was just room keys. There wasn't, there wasn't as many cameras around or anything. So they just trusted me. I seemed like a young guy with, a big smile on my face. Yeah. And I would have that hotel room for sometimes, as long as I wanted, but I got take a shower and watch TV and just, kick it for a while. Uh-huh. And then, but I was using the hotels after a while to the ones that had the better buffets in the morning too. Because I would carry a briefcase and a beat up briefcase and go to the buffets and, the omelet bars and just open up the briefcase and just throw an omelet in there. Whatever snacks they had, and bring them back to my room. And that's how I finally got arrested there. And I was at the Griswold, I think they called it Griswold's. It was now it's the Doubletree in Claremont.
Oh, okay.
And I was up there in Claremont, and that's where I got arrested, because they called the room, Because I used to do
And
it.
you answered?
Well, I did. I answered, yeah. And because after a while, I would always do it on the first floor where I would find a housekeeper because I wanted to go in and out of the sliding door and put the do not disturb sign on the door, And then, whatever I said when I answered the phone and I was gathering my stuff up, like, I got to go. And so then the knock on the door came at the hotel room. And I go, no. I look out the sliding door and there's like 3 cops out there. And I'm like, oh, they got flashlights and everything. And then I look out the peephole of the front door. There's only 2 cops out there. So I grabbed all my stuff under my arm like a football. And I'm like, well, the front door it is. I open up the door and I just planned on running from the cops. Only I ran the wrong way. I ran into the lobby. So then I'm just roughed up by, 4 or 5 cops in the lobby. It's like the game was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jig was up.
It's
Yep.
like Mikey gets taken down.
What kind of charge is that? What do they arrest?
Trespassing.
Trespassing?
Yeah, trespassing and evading. Or
Oh,
whatever.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some of that stuff. Not the trespassing, but I got definitely evading.
Yours was on the 10 freeway, right in the same area, though.
Yeah,
too, right?
my car crash, my major car crash was on the 10 freeway in Pomona.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I just do. I
Yeah.
was so I know. I mean, I kind of know that area just because like Pomona and then West Covina and San Dimas and La Puente, and I was just running. It wasn't where my stomping grounds, but I was I had a couple dealers because I had met a couple dealers when I was in the county jail. Life changes in the county jail, man. You meet people.
Yeah.
It never did anything good for me. Never.
Yeah.
Even sometimes I'd be in there. Well, I take that back. I had a moment. I had 2 moments like yours where like I had just had enough,
Yeah.
and thankfully a judge gave me, I got that nice nudge from the judge and
Right.
and my life changed. But most of the time I went into jail and like sometimes I'd be in there for a while and I'd be thinking, clean and thinking, oh, I'm not going to get loaded as soon as I'm not going to get loaded when I get out. I'm going to do things different this time. And every single time I got out, I went straight to the dope, man. And you know what? It's like if they haven't seen you in 90 days or 6 months or whatever, first one's free. Shit's free. I roll out there and then be like, dude, where you been? I'll be like, I just got out, and then you have a little bit of street cred or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then here we go again.
Yeah. That being in locked up and having, physical sobriety, it's the worst place to be.
Mhm.
All of a sudden now you don't have anything to fix you and nothing to fix your head. And you have to think about all the things that, I grew up with some good parents, a good family.
Yeah.
I grew up with, I had wonderful people in my life. I really
Mhm.
did. And I just pushed all that aside. And so when you think about all the things, now that you're sobered up
Mhm.
and locked up, it's like
Brutal.
I was a pretty crummy guy to aunts, uncles, parents,
Mhm.
Fill in the blank. I wasn't a good dude. And so that was hard to take. And knowing nothing about recovery, knowing nothing about a 12-step program was even more difficult because then it's like the world against Mike.
Yeah.
It's
And you
just
feel hopeless
yeah,
and lost and alone.
exactly.
And like nobody understands,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like the one thing that
Yeah.
we all sit around, and that's why I love today's society is at least we have stuff like this, and there's a lot of stuff like this out there where
Yeah.
like I didn't know, but like I actually did. I knew I was a drug addict, but I didn't know that anybody that lived like me ever lived any other way. I thought that this is how I was
Yeah.
going to live for the rest of my life. I got addicted, kind of like you. I mean, meth for the first time, I was 13, and I remember snorting a line of meth, and I was like, holy smokes, I've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
This is what everybody else feels like.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest lie that drug ever told me. And fast forward 10 years, um, I didn't know I didn't know that there was a 12-step program. I didn't know that there was rehabs. I didn't know any of that. People still don't know that, though, just so you know, and that's why we do what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy if you think about it. It's 2025, and like in even 1993, and then even like what 10 years later was when, or right when I would be coming up. Even then, like the availability or the knowledge was not really present. It's like you would only hear about it through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, or somebody that has like potentially possibly gone into treatment, but it's very small. It was very taboo. It was very much stigmatized that people did not want to talk about, nor have their child be an addict or an alcoholic, because then it's like this like really, really uh, sore eye on the family of like, oh, terrible parents, or something where all the
Right.
things that aren't really true or valid. But yeah, the wherewithal that we have now because of social media and because people are okay with talking about their recovery is beautiful, because it's like there's so many people that think that they're alone, as we all did at one point in time, not even realizing that like there's another life that we don't have to live like the one that we're currently doing at the moment.
And I wasn't hanging around anybody that had any big aspirations and dreams and, goals or
Yeah.
anything like that. And the mental health state that I was in wasn't ready to receive any of that anyway. I was just in such a dark place. I had a lot of anxiety
Yeah.
and, constantly depressed, always on the hunt for
Mhm.
where I'm going to get the next, drug or drink.
Yeah.
And after a while, when I was, living in the mountains or where I didn't drink beer anymore, then I drank hard liquor because it was easier to carry
Yeah.
and easier to steal from a liquor store. At the time, they weren't, they didn't have all the systems they have now. It was like
Right.
those little bottles were pretty easy to, take in a liquor store. Yeah, I think one of the things I really think about today with people that are in treatment is the history of mental health challenges that led to somebody's first day in treatment. All the different challenges that I had that I can see in other people. That first day, that first week of treatment, and one of the statements I think is really important for me that I make quite often is that we wake up every day and we do the very best that we can to help people and help people into treatment. And if we're blessed enough to have a position in your treatment program or any of your businesses, then we also get to work on systems to help even more people, like what you're doing here today.
Yeah.
But that's the essence of what happens. We wake up every day and try to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And that turned into my volunteer world too. It's because we're hanging out with different people these days,
Yeah.
right? And back then, when it's so dark, it's there. I didn't, you're not going to hang out with people on the street and hey man, what's your goals for this year, Jeff?
Right. Right.
What you got going on, man? And that was part of the most difficult thing about that, and that's why I think quite often about who's in our five, the people that we hang out with the most, the most time that we spend in our lives with the people that we hang with, that's who we become, and we know that. But back then, I didn't think anything like that. I thought, what's it going to be like to push my way through this next hour or day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Getting clean and sober is going from being selfish and self-centered and doing nothing but thinking about myself to all of a sudden it's like, wow, all these people are being so nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is everybody's got bright eyes and wearing nice clothes, and all of a sudden I wanted to be, somebody that could help other people. And that's, it wasn't easy in the first year for me. I pretty much, I fought it for a while. And I didn't, a lot of the 12-step work that that we all do. I thought, oh, I'm happy being out of jail. I'm glad that I'm in a treatment program, but this homework thing is just not good for me.
Right.
Can we blow past this and do something else? But yeah,
How long were you in treatment when you got in?
5.5 months,
5.5
basically.
months?
Yeah, I went into treatment on July 25th, 1993, and I left that treatment program December 15th, 1993. Right before I left River Communities up in the mountains, and it's in the national forest, and one of the people that worked in the treatment program had one of those little Christmas trees on her desk, just a little tree, and she was leaving for to go on vacation, and she said, "Hey, you want this tree, Mike?" And I went across from her office and I planted that tree, and now I get to go back to River Community and see this huge tree
Oh, wow.
with all the branches.
You were gonna say big ass, weren't you?
and that's pretty cool to see.
That
too.
is cool.
It's just fun. Mike is such a professional guy, and like but not. If you get to know him, he's actually also. See, I'm gonna spill the beans right now. He's also a comedian, a stand-up comedian, and I have actually been a part. As a matter of fact, you're the reason why my drink got into my. Remember when I had my energy drink company?
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
Detox Energy.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And
God.
you were opening up for Fam. What was his name? Fam.
He's Dat Fan.
Dat Fam.
Yeah.
This dude's funny. Do you still do stand up?
I do once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it was an improv in Irvine.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
how
the-
cool.
Yeah, but mostly MC work and raising money these days. After COVID came down, and I was really, I got solid into what we needed to do to help people during COVID. And
Yeah.
a lot of my friends weren't doing stand up, and I had a time where I just said, I was around people that were getting loaded all the time, and a lot of my friends were getting divorced, and I had been divorced, and chasing the stage was something I need to put on hold for now. My worlds were colliding. Working in treatment, working in social model recovery systems, we were building. Now we have like 24 programs and services,
Wow.
Wow.
and I had a lot of focus on what we need to do as a team to help more people. And but I still do. I love raising money. I love being an MC and raising money and doing stuff like that. That's a lot of fun.
We
Yeah,
we had an opportunity to be the MCs of a what do you call it, fundraiser, and it was our first time.
Yeah.
So we were doing the paddle raises and everything.
Oh yeah, you were doing a live auction.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I tried to
Terrible.
auction her off, but she was like,
Not
she got
having it.
scared all of a sudden. She was worried that nobody would bid for her.
Yeah.
But it's just
that's
a
terrible.
date with Natalie Eva Marie. That was
Horrible. And imagine no paddle gets raised.
You had no side conversation before that?
No,
You just threw
I
it out
Oh,
there?
didn't.
threw me out there like
well, because
dangling.
what was happening is nobody was
But it
raising.
was horrible.
Nobody was raising their paddle for the 5,000. So we got the 10,000. We got the 10,000 paddle raise, right?
Yeah, we
and,
Yeah.
did.
and then we
Yeah.
and I was thinking, oh man, we got a 10,000. We're gonna
Yeah.
definitely get some 5,000 paddle raises.
Yeah.
So then we got to the 5,000 and nobody raised their paddle, and it gets really awkward up there when
It
nobody
does.
raised their paddle.
And we were
Oh
trying.
yeah.
And we were trying, we were,
Yeah.
doing our thing, and we were winging it and
Trying to be funny and make it not so like
Yeah.
awkward because
Uh-huh.
nobody was raising the paddle. And how long do you wait before you move on?
Yeah.
It's an art.
it is.
It's an art.
So
I've been there before. I had a friend, Gary Cannon. Gary Cannon's a very funny guy, comedian, and does a lot of he does warm up work, but he also worked on Conan forever and a lot of other things. And I had him come out one time raising money for the Boys and Girls Club, and the live auction, they had the police helicopter ride along. And so we were riffing off of each other, just like, take this police helicopter down, cross the border, pick up a couple of bales, and come back. Gary's so funny. We had so much fun doing that. Your parents would come out to the shows too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love your parents. Your parents are great people.
I had my detox energy drink, and it was cool because when Mike came, my drink was the only energy drink you could get in the club. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that was cool. So that, and then you had something happen where you had like a truckload of that stuff and it was about to expire, and I helped you meet the guy from the 99-cent store. Did you sell that to him at the time?
I don't recall. It was so long ago. This was
Yeah.
like in 2008, 9. I know my oldest stepdaughter at the time, Dakota, as it was, I know the very end, she had put out a Facebook post to
Yeah.
all of her friends
Yeah.
to come get like cases for like dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And she sold the rest of it
Oh, wow.
to pay for her trip to Europe, her senior
Oh,
trip
my
to
Oh,
God.
Europe.
nice.
How funny.
Yeah. Crushed it. Yeah.
I remember I had this guy that owned a couple 99-cent stores, and I remember pitching him this drink. I go, hey, all your drinks in here are expired, dude. What about this detox drink? And I don't know if that ever worked out for you, but yeah, you've started and you were wrapping, one of the first people to wrap cars
Wrap
at the
cars,
time.
yeah. I had a vehicle wrap company.
Yeah.
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 All along, running Hope by the Sea. So I don't know. I like to dabble in other things.
Right.
I mean, now everything I dabble in though has to do with this industry. I have the podcast. I have Anonymity, which is a marketing, branding, social media company specifically for this industry. We have, what else do we have? Oh, we have peptides. What else besides that? The rest is consulting for this industry, which I work a lot with Devin.
Yeah, Devin. Love Devin.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So, and then but that's the app that you were talking about.
Oh,
at
and
the
we have
CCAP
the
conference.
AI. We
Yeah.
have the AI.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Oh,
because you both have your own
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
like avatar on there.
Yeah, and well, now we have a generic one too. It's called Sam Sober, and Sam Sober is for the rest of the world. So, like
Okay.
any other treatment centers that want to have an AI, it'll be available for them very, very soon. The demo's done.
Right.
Now it's just about me hiring a sales girl or person to go out and really market it to other treatment centers. It works well. You add it to your website, because here's the thing: people are searching your website, and they're searching your website sometimes late at night. Like meth addicts are
Yeah.
looking at it late at night,
Yeah.
and they can start talking to the AI, and the AI responds better than a human
Yeah.
because it has all the information. It has all the ASAM criteria. It has everything in there,
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
and then but it also talks to you like I would talk to you. So
Right.
it has a personality as well. So it's a personality built AI. Mine is specifically when it talks to you, and hers the same. It tells our story to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Like it'll be like if a meth addict's like in psychosis, it'll literally be like, I get it, man. I was there. I thought I was working for the CIA.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So good stuff.
I was when I was a counselor at River Community, a relief counselor at River Community. I came into work one day. I was working a night shift, and somebody came up to me and he goes, "Hey, you got to move your car. You got to back up. There's a spaceship landing there." And he goes full on into telling me that a spaceship was going to land. And I'll never forget that moment, because I had just sat there and just thought, "Oh man, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there before, where it's just so real." And it's given me a lot of compassion and empathy for those that are struggling with mental health, issues, especially at River Community, because it's such a severe, people that are struggling with schizophrenia, bipolar, and schizoaffective disorder, and also alcoholism or addiction. Gotta love them. When they finally get to a treatment program, this is it. This is no dress rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do to help? And when people don't get that opportunity, like Justin and a whole lot of other friends that we have, it's pretty sad, because like what Eva Marie was just saying, when we have a podcast conversation like this and it gets carried on, or any newsletter that goes out, or any information that goes out over social media, or any content that happens anywhere where somebody gets one little glimmer of, oh, maybe treatment wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
That's carrying the message.
Yeah. And it's really not that bad. Treatment is not that bad, guys. It's to be honest with you, it's the best thing that ever happened in my life.
Right.
You
Right.
know, along with, and and I say that because without treatment, without recovery, I don't have any of the other beautiful things that I have in my life, like my wife and my children.
Right.
They don't exist
Right.
if I don't have recovery. And for me, recovery started in treatment. I was introduced to the 12-step program on December 28th of 1996. I was introduced to a program that works the 12 steps, and
Mhm.
I was in a treatment center, and they took me to a meeting. They handed me the leader card, and I led the very first meeting that I ever attended. And I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget the people that were in the meeting or the guy that took me there. It's like, although my recovery hasn't been perfect,
Mhm.
it's been perfect for me,
Right.
because like my relapses in this industry and my relapses in general have changed the man that, you met 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not that same guy.
Yeah.
Like I've grown up, and
Right.
and I, like you, when I hear you talking, I hear this man that has compassion for the people that are hurting and struggling, and even further than that, the people that have mental health, real mental health disorders. Because like I understand mental health disorders, because like I have been in the depths of a meth-induced psychosis.
Right.
I know what a schizophrenic feels like. Like I get it. I didn't want to come out. They don't want to come out most of the time. That reality sometimes is so powerful, maybe is the word.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
such a cool place to be. Why would I want to come back here?
Uncomfortably comfortable is what I think sometimes when people are out on the streets and they don't want help.
Yeah.
I get it. When someone and they're offered a place to stay, and they're in the wash out on the streets of LA, or
Yeah.
fill in the blank. Many times they don't want to follow the rules. And that's how I was. I was offered, a lot of opportunities to not live out on the streets. And it was a personal choice for me over and over again. And it was, I broke into my parents' house one time. I was so skinny I could get to the doggy door. I could
So
let out
crazy.
all the air in my body and turn sideways and go through the doggy door. And it was times, and then I had and the doors were bolted and locked from the inside, so I had to go back out to the doggy door. And I spent 3 or 4 days not being homeless, eating every frozen pizza, because they went to Europe, I think. And I remember thinking, no, I could continue to, I can take a shower with people's garden hoses, and I can go in community pools and take a shower. I'm really okay, and continue to drink and use and be in that fabricated world of not believing that I really needed a house to live in. And by the way, that time when my parents were gone in Europe, and I had eaten so much in their house that I knew I had to get out. I started getting paranoid, and I had to get out of there before they got home, right? So I put all the trash in a bag and I pushed it out the doggy door. And then I couldn't get out the doggy door because I ate too much.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm stuck in my parents' house. And I ended up passing out in my parents' house, and they came home, and it's a mess. But another horrible story of, my mom was so codependent, and my dad was, the one that I always struggled with. Huge struggles with my dad. Now, my dad's 83 and I'm 59, and we've got the best relationship we've ever had. But it took a long time to get there,
Yeah.
But, staying away from them, and staying away from other relatives, and just wanting to just, put it together on my own, exist wherever, I should say. One of the biggest downfalls in my earlier life, before I got sober, was just, a lot of the hurt and pain that I thought, oh, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm out here by myself. Yeah, well, when you don't show up for different events, and when you don't there were no cell phones at the time, but you know, they worry and worry and worry. And my mom probably had less years in her life because of the worry that she had for me. You know, like your mom, you know, and I'm sure with you as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to think about that today, you know.
I mean, honestly, that's the stuff that sometimes brings me to tears, especially with, you know, on my last run was so gnarly.
Yeah.
And like, you know, my mom would send, you know, good old Ernie over to check on me because,
Yeah.
and my poor dad has lost a son. You know, my dad is, you know, he lost his first son, and knowing that potentially when he arrived at my house, he was going to find me dead.
Yeah.
Was the anxiety that, you know, that I put on him. And look, my dad was in his 80s when this was, well, let me see. I've got my dad's, he was like 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, I you know, by the grace of God, I have 8.5 years right now, and my dad's 89. We're having his 90th birthday party on January 3rd.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
he's such a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes it's crazy, man. I'll be in my fucking in my psychosis and driving around, and every once in a while I'd see, you know, I'd be going places, and I know my dad was going to my house, and he had his little fucking Porsche Cayenne, and he just man, you're bossing out at like 80 years old, coming to check on old Chad.
I stopped by one time to check on your parents. I was in the neighborhood, and I just swung by, and you were out doing your thing at that point. I don't know if they ever told you the story. I go in, and your mom's like, "Oh, Ernie went to the hospital last night." I come in the front door. I wasn't here. I was at the other place.
Yeah.
And your mom goes, Ernie was in the hospital last night. He's a little upset. And somebody at the front desk said, Ernie doesn't want to see anybody today. He had lost his teeth in the hospital. Right. And so, and I hear your dad in the back going, "Oh, is that Mike? Send him in." I go in the back, talk to your dad, and your mom was really upset because she somehow thought that, you know, somebody had stolen his teeth. And
I know the story. I remember when he lost it. I don't know this part of the story. I remember when he lost his teeth.
Yeah. So, and so I go back there, and we're, you know, and I'm trying to snap him out of it because he was, you know, he had just got out of the hospital, and he didn't really want to talk to anybody, and he's putting his, you know, hand over his face because he didn't have any teeth. And I said to him, Ernie, I said, whatever happened to the good old days when they just stole babies from hospitals? I remember him just going, "Oh, man, thanks for stopping by, Mike." Your parents would go looking for you sometimes, and they just, you know, call up, you know, start making phone calls.
Yeah.
And I used to love hanging out with your dad at conferences. I miss him coming to conferences.
Yeah.
Your mom too.
He wants to come every year to the West Coast Symposium, and you know, my mom's just like, "I don't want to drive out there. It's 2.5 hours each way from here."
And it's super hot.
And it's hot can be out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He'll probably roll in next year, though, I'm sure.
What a blessing it is for you to have such a great relationship with them now, though. You know, I mean, I feel the same way.
That's the beautiful thing. That's like as much havoc we caused, we don't have to do that today. And I think that's like part of the whole promises and everything. Like, I FaceTime my parents every single day.
I mean, too bad Jared wasn't here, because, like, I want to hear the story. I actually want to hear, because, like, you have to understand, man, like, that last run was gnarly.
Yeah.
And I don't remember everything completely and how it all wound down, but I know that some people sent you over to my house. You came over to my house over here in San Juan, right?
San Juan. You were the one that came in and got him?
No. I mean, they tried. I talk about it a lot on the podcast, is that, like, you could send in the best interventionists in the world, man. Yeah. And it wasn't for me, it's like, I will wear them out.
Yeah.
Like, even, you know, I remember this one time, Ken Seeley on one of the episodes where he brought a client to us. Like, dude chased this dude down for like days, but it was also in Florida where you could do the Baker Act. But like, bro. But I know she sent you and Jared came over to my house. Too bad Jared's not here because you could say whatever for a part of my deal, but I don't know what happened about Jared.
His backstory is so funny too, because during that time we're both huge Disney fans, right? And my son Jake works at Disney, and at the time he was a Club 33 member of Disney, right?
Yeah.
And so we're always hanging together and going to Disney and just doing different things. And Jared had this commanding voice, of course, and when we couldn't talk to you.
Yeah, he's the loud guy, chubby guy that gave me my very first job in this industry.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yep.
So, and we couldn't be next to each other. Jerry Moe and Jared are two people I can't be next to in conferences when you're supposed to be quiet. Like we're always laughing, and Jared's laugh is way too
Really
loud,
loud.
right?
Whoa,
So
whoa,
we're
whoa.
I think we were getting ready to go to Disney, or we were in a weekend where we were going to go to Disney or something like that, and your mom was still calling. We were trying to figure out how to help, and the late Tony Marquez too.
Yeah.
And the three of us are talking on a regular basis, and
How are we going to help this
How we-
Chad guy? How are we going to help Chad, man? We got to get him back.
you know, and the backstory to the mom part of it is, I have a hard time. The hardest time that I have helping people into treatment is working with the mom.
Yeah, I bet.
The moms that are just so busted and so
Yeah.
down and so empty, and the dads too. But when you're working with professionals helping somebody into treatment, it's different, right? They have some history, they have some education, they know the way that it should happen, could happen, and they know some of the benefits and all that. With moms, they're going to do and say and promote and fabricate anything that they can to get their child some help, right? And after one of these calls, Jared and I just say, well, listen, why don't we just head down there and meet you down there, and we'll meet Tony down there too, and we'll just go over, to your house. And so, yep, sounds like a great idea. I think it was like a
really never a good idea.
And I don't know if it was her idea or our idea, but so Jared and I, we head down there. We call up Tony. Tony's like, "Oh, sorry, man, I got something going on today."
Tony's probably been there like 5 times already and was like, "I ain't going back. You guys are good luck."
Yeah. And then we, and then and your mom's like, "All right, looks like the three of us." And then we get to the gate, for your house, and then your mom's like, "All right, I'm out,"
I'm out.
So, and of course, Jared, we got this. We'll have him in treatment by the end of the day, Jared. And so we had to bring something to you. I don't know what it was, and we had a little bag. So we're going to do like an intervention with this little cute bag, and that we had to bring to you. I forgot what it was. Get to your house, and there, the rock star cars in the driveway and all that stuff, and and the door's ajar. And when I say rock star cars, I mean like a 72 Pinto. I mean like he had some nice cars.
Yeah.
He's talking about Lamborghini.
So
exactly.
and it's harder when people are like, they have this life that you
they're
built
doing
for
all right.
yourself.
They're living in a
Yeah,
fat house, fat cars.
to
They
help
got
us-
money in the bank. It's very difficult to be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
bro, you're in
thank you.
shambles."
If you did have a 72 Pinto or a Toyota hatchback, that would have been easier to help you
living
in the
with-
treatment. Look at what happened.
Or living
It
with
is,
your mom.
and that's another part of my story though that I like to really like talk to people about, because like I've been the guy like just like you who was in jail, broke,
Yeah.
homeless. I mean, I was homeless for 5 years, and then I got sober.
Yeah.
And I built this life, and and even my mom would try to like, well, Hope by the Sea's not going to pay you anymore, and I was like, I don't. They presented me with letters and all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
I was like, that's okay, I have money in the bank.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, go ahead
Yeah.
and not pay me because I'm going to shut your. I was a dick,
Yeah.
I was a real dick. I'd be like, I'm going to shut your marketing off. Keep going.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And she
What an
was-
asshole. And I apologize, Mom, if you watch this episode. I love you, and I'm
Oh,
sorry
Yeah.
for the horrendous ness that I put you through.
I love you too, Penny. She was an advocate for you like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, for sure.
So here we are at the the gate to go into your place, and so she stays there. Jared and I go in, and he's got all these plans, right? But then the plan doesn't really come together because we get to the front door and the door's ajar. We could hear music going on, and
I really don't remember this part.
This could be like, I should have called up Ken Seeley. This could have been like intervention bloopers.
Yeah.
A&E intervention bloopers with Jared and Mike. And so we're sitting at the front door. Do we knock? Do we open the door? Do we push it open? And then both of us look at each other and go, does he have guns? Here's a couple of guys that were supposed to be at Disney for the day. And
Yeah, totally. Now
sitting
we're just
down
fucking around.
here. Like,
Now they're all of a sudden they're like, this is motherfucker. Did you check with his mom?
it was like, we're behind a gated community.
Yep.
The doors open or ajar. Finally, here we are, and probably because Jared was talking loud enough. Here comes Chad. He comes to the door, and he pulls the door wide open, and there we are. And we're, hey, Chad, we know you know the drill. We're here to help you into treatment. And Chad just looked at us. He goes, sorry, guys, not gonna happen. Bam. It's like next on intervention bloopers.
And that was it.
that was so we're outside the door like high-fiving it. All right, good job, Jared. Good job, Mike.
we really crushed that one. We're
We,
just gonna walk away now, and he'll call us in a little bit.
Yeah, any minute now. Yeah, so that's how that went. And so the funny moment about that was like, at the end of any big sports event when they go to the top quarterback and say, hey, what are you
Yeah.
going to do now? I'm going to Disneyland. So we looked at each other and said, hey, what are we going to do now? We're going to Disneyland.
There's some other funny parts to the story, but I'm not gonna give Jared's history without him being here. But he
Yeah.
would if he were here. But he's like, fuck that. This
Yeah.
dude's just enough crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably in a full blown psychosis. I was deep in a undercover.
Do you remember?
I remember slamming the door on your guys' face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was doing or anything else about that day.
Yeah.
Because I was probably, fighting shadow people up in my room
Mm-hmm.
and listening to music, or I was practicing my martial arts up there that I don't do. But in the midst of, if I had music on, I was possibly dancing. My wife tells me about this. The only funny story that she has about me in my active addiction is she's like, you're actually a pretty good dancer. And I put on music and I would just I would just bust some moves, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish, but I don't wish
Yeah.
that we had some video of some of this shit, but no.
Yeah, she had your back. They both did. They were just doing whatever they could
Yeah.
to help you. I think about how challenging it was for me with this relationship with my dad as well, because my mom very much in my arena no matter what. She was carrying my flag. She was standing in front of me. She was standing beside me and behind me to push me. And my dad was too. Great guy, but we just conflicted quite a bit. But one of my best moments in recovery, it was just so powerful. My dad got really sick about maybe 8 years ago. He had to go in for what was called an aortic bulge in his heart, and we had just taken a trip to Alaska, and we brought him to the hospital at USC. He was going to get this procedure done, and they opened him up, and it was way different. He had an aortic tear, which he could have died instantly.
Yeah.
And here I am, about 25 years sober at the time, and my brother and my mom were with me, and I had the pager. I was the one that they were notifying of the next thing, and they called me to the front desk and they told me what happened. We have to replace the whole top half of his heart. aortic arch replacement, they called it, and so he's in a room after like hours and hours of surgery, and my mom and my brother didn't want to go see him because they told us he has his we can't close him up because he has too much bleeding, and he had all kinds of things attached to him and whatever. And my mom and my brother just basically said, I can't handle it. I can't go up there. I had come to that hospital with a backpack filled with food and stuff like that. We were only supposed to be there for a couple hours, but I somehow knew I needed to be there. So my boss at the time, Jim O'Connell, I asked him, I said, I need to be at the hospital with my dad. Can I work from the hospital? Whatever you need, Mike. Whatever you need, however we can support you. He's in recovery too. And God bless him. And I stayed at the hospital for about 3 weeks with my dad, and I was taking my mom and back and forth to Glendora because she couldn't drive. And one day my dad wakes up about 3:00 in the morning, and I'm in a chair next to him. And they had put him in a big room, like bigger than this, because he was there for quite a while. And he's crying, and I said, Dad, what's the matter? You okay? You okay? And he said, Mike, I never, ever thought I would be down this far and that it would be you by my side. And it was just, it was one of those moments where this is recovery.
Yeah.
You know, even though my dad and I didn't have a perfect relationship, and he needed me.
Yeah.
And my mom couldn't give him what he needed at the time because she was pretty ill herself. And my brother was up in Ventura, wasn't quite as close as I was. And it was like, this is what recovery is all about. This is doing things that are inconvenient when people need you. And he was there. He was inconvenienced way longer than 3 weeks. So, you know, what a blessing that is. And I see your parents, how happy they are that, you know, that actually saw them last year at CCAP or 2 years ago at CCAP.
Yeah, no. When I spoke last time.
Yeah, because they came into the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the last time I saw Ernie. I think that was the last time I saw your mom too. Yeah. And my mom passed away a couple of years ago, but now I get to be there for my dad and help him with things that are, he needs help with. And it's wonderful. Now I have 2 years, about 3 years ago, it was only Annalyn, my girlfriend, and myself that were sober in the family. Like I would go to family events and she's coming up on 12 years sober on the 19th of November. And so I would always have these exit plans. Like when we went to family events, if anybody starts smoking weed or they start drinking too much, and that's my life. If I'm uncomfortable, I go.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around. And not that my family's, way over the top like that, but I'm careful.
Yeah.
Now, there's a term in Hawaii called hanai instead of stepdaughter or stepson. My hanai daughter, Jake's sister, who was 12 when I first met her, she got sober.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And then her daughter, my granddaughter, she got sober.
Wow. And
so Danielle and Jake and Marley, Christine, so now there's recovery in the family, and Christine's probably coming close to 10 now. And it's just wonderful to have conversations with especially to wake up every day and have your partner be clean and sober. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like that. It's the best relationship I've ever had in my life. I'm so in love with Annalyn. She's just an incredible woman and has a solid program of recovery. But then we can be there. We were at a meeting not too long ago, a 12-step meeting, and there was 5 of us there to celebrate, my son Jake, taking a cake. And it's like, man, this is great stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's pretty, it's the real deal is to, You know, the 101 part of the program, I think, is not being happy that we've had some achievements and grown in recovery, but when we get to see other people,
Never heard that before.
Neither.
you know, the train.
Yeah.
Not during a podcast.
Ever.
Really?
Never even
That's
like.
cool.
It's crazy. That was.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really loud.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah.
Wait, but you're saying the best.
Yeah, it's like the 101 part of the program is being happy for other people when they start to have the promises come true, when they start to see the light and they start to come all the way in and sit all the way down. And when we have that opportunity to come all the way in and sit all the way down, for us that's great, but we have to love people through it. And that's when you see that happen, you see people go from the darkness to the light and actually enjoy being in the program, enjoy being around people that are clean and sober, enjoy doing sober events, you know, have a life that's not perfect. You know, one of our buddies, Jerry McDonald, who passed away just a little while ago, another great mentor of mine, love Jerry. He had this statement that he sponsored me for about a year when I had a same sponsor for like 30 years, Hal Taylor, wonderful guy. And when Hal passed away, he said, "Don't let the sun go down before you find another sponsor." And I already had my eye on Jerry McDonald. And so Jerry sponsored me for about a year. But Jerry would have this wonderful statement. He would say, we can live in a world with unresolved issues with spirituality and gratitude. It's possible, Mike. It's like, yeah, that's true. Even though we have unresolved issues, we can still have spirituality and gratitude. You know, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too.
I love the program. You know, it's given me the ability to live life on life's terms. You know, and it's given me a life. Not so I always like, you know, kind of say this, that it's given me a life beyond anything I ever imagined, because I didn't ever imagine that this would be my life.
Right.
I didn't. It's not my wildest dreams, because my wildest dreams, I'm, you know, half naked on a yacht with half naked women, and drinking and doing. That's my wild dreams, right?
Yeah,
But
none of us are there. We're not there.
I mean, you can come. But my wife wouldn't be having any of that stuff today. You know, and today, like, you know, I have a daughter that struggles with this disease, and you know, she's
Aurora?
she's doing pretty
Yeah.
good today. You know, she's she still struggles with like stuff, but you know, she's not afraid to reach out to me when she's got something going on. You know, because like she didn't get the same cards that I got. I had a happy home like you had a happy home. You know, her mom, I met her mom in rehab, and her mom's a heroin addict, and was a heroin addict most of her life. And, you know, today I don't know what she is, but she also has a lot of mental health issues. And my daughter really never met her mom until she was like 19 years old. You know, and then me, the first 9 years of her life were probably amazing for her, because she had, you know, the love of her life, her daddy. And then I got loaded,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and I got loaded at the most important time of her life, especially when she was like, the day she was going into high school, I stuck a needle in my arm that night, and I wasn't even able to wake up and take her to, I was awake all night.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to take her to high school. The girl that I was dating at the time took her, and that was the last day I saw that girl too. Because when I get loaded, as you know, that's the most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
And recovery has given me everything and more that I ever could have imagined.
Isn't it amazing when you think back at the different, I like to call them resets. Like, you say your daughter's, you know, struggling, and when we watch people, especially family members, and myself. I've had many resets where it's like where I didn't relapse, but I stopped going to meetings.
Yep.
Just wasn't paying attention to the program, wasn't working with others, had a bad attitude, fill in the blank, right? And when we watch that in our family members or watch that with other people, it's almost worse than it is for ourselves, right? Because we're powerless and we don't feel like. I was told one time that when I was trying to help a family member, you need to step up. You need to do something. You're the professional here. And it's like, you know what? God's got a hand in this.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be a little bit more stoic sometimes and realize that, you know, there's a plan here. We have things that we can do and steps that we can take, but the spirituality has got to grow. Something's got to change. There's got to be, and it's so difficult, especially when we're so in love with that person or so much, you know, tied to their life in whatever way that we want it more than them.
Right.
And that's a hard place to be.
Kids, like for instance, my daughter, I mean, if she's hurting, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, and, you know, she's not out, doing crazy stuff and getting loaded and doing that. But like, I know she's struggling. Like it's on top of like, the life that she's had to live. And then, you know, to find the love of, or the second love of her life dead from, you know, fentanyl.
Right.
All of that stuff isn't easy, you know, and trying to learn how to grow up and live life, as an adult.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And, but again, it's like, God, you know, I give her to God every day, you know, for him to work his miracles in her life, you know, and the other part about it is she's not afraid to reach out to me. You know, she just reached out to me the other day just because she's like having some mental health struggles, and life's not
Great.
Life's not easy for her.
You feel so rewarded and so blessed to get that call.
Yeah.
Anytime a family member calls, it's like, I just feel like, wow, just they called, you know, that moment that we get when we really feel like, God, you got to do something. My sponsor now, I have a sponsor, Les, who's only lives a mile away from my house. And we have a sponsor group. I have a sponsor group now, which I haven't had for a long time. And he calls it the Great Exchange. Every morning, the Great Exchange, I exchange my will for his. And that's a difficult thing to do some days, and other days it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love the 11th step. I love being able to be around people who can talk about the 11th step and how do we pray through it? How do we find a spiritual moment? How do we take a breath? And the problem is not the problem. The problem is Mike's reaction to the problem sometimes.
Always.
I'm manifesting something that's way different. But we can't have that same solution. We can have the same spiritual solution to help others and the same prayers to help others. But inside me, it tears me up worse than it does than getting, you know, something for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reset, I was going to say that I had my biggest reset when the funniest one is really that I had two big ones, but I was about 5 years sober and I started to get some stuff back. I started to get, I was working at River Community and started to pay off some of my debt, and cell phones just came out. And I was driving on the freeway right about where you were talking about in Pomona. I had a Honda Prelude 5-speed that I was whipping up to River Community on those mountain roads with, and I felt like a big shot. And I'm talking to my sponsor on a big clunky cell phone, and I get in an argument with him. And by that time, I started to gain some stuff back, and I stopped going to meetings. And so he said, why don't you just pull off the road in your little fancy car, and you go down to Mission Avenue where you used to walk on the street, sometimes with shoes, sometimes without shoes. You park that little fancy car and you hang up that little fancy cell phone. And you take your shoes off and you walk a mile and call me. And I thought, man, I don't want what I used to have. I started to have a fear of having what I used to have. And I did that. I went down to Mission Avenue. It was wintertime, but it wasn't raining or anything. And I took my shoes off and I walked probably more than a mile. And I didn't have calluses on my feet anymore. And my feet were healthy and the pavement was cold. And I did that, but I didn't call him for like 2 weeks. And that was a big moment in my life because I realized if I don't go to meetings and if I'm not around people that are like-minded like myself, I start to manifest this world where I think I got everything again.
Yep.
And that was a big deal for me. But I got real sick at 15 years sober. I was at a conference, one of those U.S. Journal conferences out in Vegas. And I was with Patty Ochoa and Jerry Moe. And I got really sick. I had to go to the hospital in Vegas. And I got diagnosed with sigmoid rectal cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And they, pretty much I had to pretty much surrender and go. And I had, there was a moment where you're going to have surgery. You may have a bag at the end of surgery. I looked at my scan. It looked like there was tar thrown over a scan. It was pretty bad. And they took like 15 inches of my plumbing out. And I'm thinking, this is it. It was like a video game flashing, like game over, And somehow I survived that, and I had so many people in the program that came running towards the fire.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal for me because I realized that this stuff that I had started to gain, I had, I had some, assets. I, bought a house, got a car, got another fancy, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it's the people.
Yeah.
It's the people that mean the most to me. To get that call from your daughter when she's just struggling with something small or something big, to have somebody just call up and say, "Hey, I trust you. You know somebody. You were recommended to me from somebody to get some help for my son, my daughter, my friend, this and that." The people in our lives are what just makes my life more full. When I get away from recovery and get away from the people that are in recovery and the people that I want to be like, and the people that I spend time with because I want to be able to have a full life, then my life gets smaller again. Mm-hmm. So this abundance of having, this village of people. I have a village of people in Hawaii that I'm close to in recovery, a village of people, in Glendora where my home group is. And it's just a wonderful world. But it's not going to be there anymore if I don't keep coming back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great world that we grew up in, working in treatment and being blessed to have so many friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. 'Cause I think about it quite often in the treatment industry that there are a lot of people that work in treatment that I want to hang out with and that I want to be like, and that I trust no matter what, that are doing the right thing when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
And you're one of them. And you're just stepping in the game, but we're glad that you've got a great mentor for sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's we get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming down and sharing your experience, strength, and hope, and everything else that you shared, because this was a really good podcast, and I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
I appreciate both of you as well.
And I have to say, when we were doing our speech or our talk, I loved looking over at you. I loved it. You were like, you're the guy that you want to be watching.
Smiling, paying attention.
Paying attention. It was just like, oh, yes. I'm looking.
I find a person in the crowd all the time, and that one person I know I can always come back to if I feel like I'm losing it or whatever.
Yeah, very comforting.
What's funny is you say that her and I look comfortable up there on that stage, but like her and I, we actually have this crazy fear of public speaking. And but we do it anyways because God gave us a gift, and I think that sometimes when some of the things that you're the most afraid of is exactly what God wants you to be doing. and and then before we go up there, her and I go, we'll hide somewhere and we pray, and I just try to let the Holy Spirit or the God of my understanding just just speak through me, because I have a story.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to make my story. My story is just funny if you allow it to be funny. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
But that's what's kind of funny about it. It's like you just keep going, Chad.
Yeah.
But it shows what God can do. Well, whatever your higher power is. But for me, what God can do to an individual that is doing crazy things continuously and making their lives like just unmanageable, hopeless, miserable, and thinking that there's nothing better for them. You come in, and of course, like now on the other end of the story, it's like it is comical, half the shit we did, but then obviously in the depths of it, it's misery. But you get to highlight what your life can actually become.
Right.
You're not doomed.
The Rule 62 of this program is so important. Hang out with people that have got a sense of humor, and we've all got character defects that we can laugh at. We can all have stories that we can laugh at. But I have to say that from my perspective, watching you both on stage, first of all, I was thrilled. Like, I'm just lit up that my buddy Chad has, a lot of cool things going on, the podcast and whatever. Everything from the pink hair to the smiles to everything on stage that day, I was like, this is the zone. So from my perspective, what I'm thinking is this is amazing stage presence. Like your stage, the aura that you're presenting, the way that you were articulating your words, the way that you told your story, the way that all came together that day, and consciously smiling on stage or seeming like you're having a good time. That's what I was an audience member that was just really enjoying that.
Nice. And it was cool for me too, and that's really nice to hear, because you've known me before that. And
you shut the door in his face.
It's cool for you to see, for you to see, because like I've always had, I knew this is my calling. This is this podcast and speaking, public speaking and doing what we do. That's my real calling. I mean, obviously my first calling was to have treatment centers, because that's what got me to here.
Right.
But and because without those, my story's not quite the same.
Right.
But that's it. That's everything to me. Like when we left, we felt like that was it, and that was actually the first time that her and I got to do that together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've done it myself before, and we've done other speaking engagements where we had a third, and it didn't. And when we did it, we knew, okay, this is God's will for us.
Yeah.
I always pictured how this podcast would end, is that we end the podcast and then the door to Chad just goes, and get out, Mike.
Well, I do have to go though, because I got
to go to Disneyland.
I'm heading to Disneyland. No, I have a meeting right after this. So we're gonna take a picture real quick.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.